On every podcast, we speak to the doers and thinkers shaping a world drowning in static. Because when everyone's talking, NEQ listens to the people who matter. On today's episode, we have a multifaceted individual. He has been a banker, a marketeer, a stockbroker, an apparel manufacturing specialist, a wildlife enthusiast, and the list goes on. But undoubtedly, he has no equal. It's my pleasure to welcome Sarinda Unamboowe to today's episode of NEQ. Welcome, Sarinda.
Thank you, Imran. Pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me.
In one of your writings, I was going through your blogspot.
Oh,
Medium, it's called, right?
yeah.
Yeah. You describe yourself as a full-time change agent who believes in progressive thinking, passion and crazy ideas, an essential part of life, whether personal or professional. I can quite believe this because I know you quite intimately, and I know that the passion and crazy ideas part is quite correct. The progressive thinking.
Yeah, I think it's not conforming to societal norms, and we live in a very traditional kind of society. So sometimes it's good to change things a little bit, especially in the workplace and in life, and do stuff a little different to everybody else.
You take it head on, don't you?
Sometimes, yeah, not intentionally most of the time, but yeah, sometimes it happens that way.
But your professional life has been a very colorful one.
Yeah,
It has.
to an extent. And I think that comes from something my mother said many years ago, that I'm a jack of all trades and a master of none. So I've kind of lived up to that.
And your Instagram profile is even more interesting because
Which one?
it gives I think it's a personal one.
Okay.
It says, grateful to be alive,
Absolutely.
lover of the wilds, good food and whiskey, ticking off a long bucket list while trying to make the world a better place. How much of that bucket list have you ticked off, and what did you tick off?
So there's the bucket list is a forever kind of
Rolling.
evolving bucket
Evolving,
list.
okay.
Yeah. So every time you tick something, two things off from the bottom of the list, something adds up on the top. So it just keeps going like that. But I've done quite a few things that I wanted to do, like climb a few mountains, done a few treks, gone to certain destinations to visit, achieve certain targets in my career, become a father, got married, got divorced. That wasn't on the list. But, just things like that. I've always had a list of stuff that I want to do. I've always been a list maker. So I've always had these like crazy things that I wanted to do in my life. Not necessarily crazy, but just things that I wanted to do in my life. And at many times when I set those lists, or when I put those things on the list, they were so unattainable that they were fantasies more than anything else. But thankfully, as the years roll by, sometimes you get opportunities to tick them off.
But you did tick a lot of them off, didn't you?
Yeah, quite a few. Yeah.
Yeah, because I've been following your stuff on social media, or your adventures on social media. Quite frankly, I wouldn't even try to attempt them because it'll make me too tired or it'll kill me. But at one time, you were even chasing a snow leopard, I remember, somewhere in the mountains of the Himalayas.
Yes.
And you found them.
Yeah, we did. I went twice up to Himachal Pradesh, which is about 15,000, 16,000 feet up in the Himalayas. And you can only see them in the winter. Well, not necessarily only, but the best time to see them is the winter. And it's about 20 or 30 below zero there. And there's no running water, the toilets. Let's not even go there. Well, there wasn't toilets. But it was a hell of an experience. I went there once with my son and once with my girlfriend. So
It was an experience.
it was a hell of an experience.
You have always been a wildlife enthusiast.
Yes.
You're a published wildlife photographer.
Yeah, I've done 3 books with 3 others. So there's 4 of us who work together, and we have published 3 books.
And the photography part of it is also, you did an exhibition as well. I think I came to the Lanel, if I'm not mistaken,
that's right.
to see that.
We've done 3, yep.
And then you have also been busy traversing the length and breadth of Sri Lanka for a good cause. That was in 2011.
11 and 16 we walked.
You wanted to bring the people of Sri Lanka together. It was unity. And Nathan, your colleague and friend, then also wanted to bring to help the cancer patients out.
That's right, yeah.
And so you guys went on a very ambitious project, which you all were, I think, successful in.
Yeah.
Anything on those experiences, the people you met along the way? Why I'm asking you these things is because I am looking at Sarinda Unamboowe, the man, and and how that has contributed to his corporate life and his successes in the corporate life. Because you've been a very, very busy man.
I don't work much.
You delegate, is it?
I delegate. So trail started off as a drunken promise, and somewhere around 2006 or 2007, I was talking with my friends about the war as usual. At that time, everybody was talking about it. And I said, if the war ends, that I was going to walk barefooted from Mathura to Jaffna. Thankfully, I changed the barefooted part of it. Everybody had conveniently forgotten that. But we decided to do the walk as soon as the war ended. I mean, I think it was the 18th of May 2009 that the war ended, if I'm not mistaken. And on about the 19th, I told a couple of my friends, now I had to walk.
Yeah.
So anyway, cut a long story short, it evolved to actually taking place, although there were many naysayers. But those things, see, there's nothing like somebody saying it can't be done to make you want to do it. Absolutely.
That is definitely you. That's why the name No Equal comes into the picture.
So when we started the walk, it started off as quite a small project because there weren't too many people who were involved in it. And it kind of gathered momentum. We started off in Mathura with about 15 or 20 people walking. And by the time we had reached Colombo, there were thousands of people walking. And by the time we got to Jaffna, it was chaos. And it was fabulous because the spontaneous contributions that we got along the way, the participation of people just coming from, I mean, people were driving up from Colombo to walk in Mullaitivu and, close to Jaffna and all that. They just drive up on their own, park their cars, walk the day, walk back or get back on a bus, come back to their cars and drive back. And that kind of thing was happening. So I think it really caught the imagination of people. And what that did was it made us like super ambitious to do another project on the way back. And into 2016, we did that. And that blew completely out of proportion. And we couldn't even fathom how big that became. Because I think when we walked in Colombo, there was an estimated crowd of over 50,000 people walking.
Right.
And there were a lot of people cursing us that day because the whole of Colombo came to a standstill. But having celebrities like Mahela and Kumar and, Dilshan and all these guys walking, or Bhatia and Santosh, all these people came and walked with us.
Yeah.
And that, got the hype going. But more than the hype, you can do all the publicity and you can do all the high-level stuff. It's the little stuff, the people coming out with a sandwich from their house, a bottle of ice water, and giving us bananas while we were walking.
Nice.
That kind of contribution, those are the things that really hit you hard. I'm kind of choking up thinking about it.
That's a feel
That
good.
is very, very emotional to see. Because those are people who don't have anything.
But did you expect it to snowball like this?
No, absolutely not.
You have been in all kinds of places, like from supermarket, JKH to Apparel to MS, you've been going around. But I remember you telling me this. You said that you went into the marketing part of JKH with the focus on apparel.
Yes, I did.
That was because you wanted to hold a large stuff. So you had a plan in your head, you had a focus as to where you want to go. Am I right in saying that? So you accepted the managing of a large staff because you wanted to learn.
Yeah. And I wanted that on my CV.
You want it on your CV.
Yeah.
So for anybody watching and hoping to get ahead in life, you would advise to get yourself focused and ready for your final goal with the things that you do along the way.
Yes.
Am I right?
Yes, absolutely. And I think it's important for us, and I told you earlier that I'm a list maker.
Yeah.
I'm also a person who likes to plan like a few years ahead. At the tender age of 61, I'm already planning the next 10 years of my life.
You're 61.
Apparently.
I have stuck at 39.
Okay.
I was just there.
Yeah.
Don't want to go any further.
Okay, that's good.
Okay, so Karen.
Yeah. So I had this list of, not list, but profile of the kind of company that I wanted to work in. And circumstances were such at that time, I couldn't go overseas for personal reasons more than anything else. And I thought the best thing to do was work in a company that was dependent on a global economy rather than a Sri Lankan economy, because I had been running been in banking and in stockbroking that was heavily dependent on the Sri Lankan economy, which was in a shambles at that time. This is the early 90s and or mid 90s. And then I thought, what could I do that was global, earn potentially $1 salary and live in Sri Lanka? And it was apparel. I didn't have a clue. I couldn't tell the difference between a lawnmower and a sewing machine. But I thought, okay, that's where I want to target myself.
Right.
And I did a little self-audit. And when I looked at myself, I had done marketing, I had done finance, I had done, the whole gamut
gamut.
of that stuff, the white-collar stuff. But I had never handled labor. I had never handled hardcore labor or numbers of people or anything like that. And not really an operational job. So then I thought, I spoke to my boss at that time, Ajit Gunawardhan, and he was very supportive. And I said, send me to some place that has an absolute mess to take care of. And they sent me to Kiel Super with the mandate of either turning it around or shutting it down.
Really?
Yeah. So it was teetering on the edge of being shut down when I went in there. And it's still there, so.
So that says that you turned it around.
We did.
Not bad at all.
We did okay, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, Kales is all over the place now.
Yeah. There were only 6 or 7 outlets at that time, and there was no money to put any more outlets anywhere else. So it was just making money out of what we had at that time that was really important.
The notion of not being equal to others suggests a unique leadership DNA. Now, what are some habits or rituals you practice daily that non-traditional leaders might find surprising? I can enlighten the general public, but I will leave that to you.
Those. I don't know. Honestly, Imran, I don't know whether I have any kind of ritual that I go through. I'm not a person who wakes up at 3 o'clock in the morning and does my yoga and meditates and salutes the sun coming up and all that nonsense. I get up in the morning, have a couple of cups of coffee, sit on my armchair and try to put the world right. But I do have a few things is that I try to focus on the day ahead and try to think of what I need to do, because especially when you start taking bigger and bigger organizations on to manage, there are so many different moving parts. And for the conversations that you have, if I'm having a conversation with you at that moment, for you, that's an all-important conversation. For me, it's one of 300 I'm going to have in the day. So how do I give you the time and attention and the focus that is needed? So I'm very old-fashioned in that sense. I take down notes. I have a notebook that I carry around all over. I write notes. And so what I do is I try to declutter my day in the morning. So that is probably the only thing that I really focus on. And also, as evil as sometimes social media and the phone can become, and I'm terrible on the phone. My sons are always lecturing me. It helps me clear up my mailbox before I set foot in office. So by the time I set foot in office, I can do my walking around and talking and patting backs and checking to see if there's dirt on the walls and just doing that kind of stuff, being seen, being present. Because why have all these devices at your disposal if you're not going to use them to your advantage? And most of the places I worked in, they were long drives. So like 45 minutes, 1 hour drives to get to, because they were factory environments. And in that period, I could clear all my mail, I could do all my correspondence, and then when I went to the plant, I could talk to people.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Sari, but knowing you personally, I would say you present a very light-hearted persona or a very easygoing personality, but you're actually quite driven. You're actually quite passionate. You are actually quite disciplined. I had never ever known you to come not on time for something. Your easygoing personality behind it is a very driven person who's actually focused, knows what you want to do. And I don't think you will tolerate, if I can use your words, bullshit from anybody.
It's difficult.
Yeah.
It's difficult. I suffer with that sometimes. And that has been something that has worked in my favor and gone against me as well. Because sometimes you have to be able to tolerate the bullshit, depending on where it's coming from. And when you don't, it can create ripples in an organization that are unfair to everybody else. So there are times where you have to be able to temper yourself, temper your true feelings down a little bit and just shut up and toe the line a little bit. I fail miserably 90% of the time, but
But this
I'm
applies,
still learning.
But this applies to business as well.
Sorry?
Or it applies
Absolutely,
mainly to
absolutely.
business.
Yeah.
Yeah. You also have this love of music,
Yep.
and you escape to your home where you surround yourself with all of this, and that's, I think, your peaceful spot or your
Yeah,
tranquil spot.
it is.
So you would agree that everybody in business needs that
Yeah, I think that there
escape hatch.
should be something that you can't be switched on and focused
Yeah.
24/7, right? You have to have something else to divert your energies, to take you away from the stress of daily life and the work life. And I think it's also very important to have a hobby, something that keeps you, something that you enjoy doing, apart from the books and everything, something that actually takes you out of that environment also, because otherwise you're polarized between two environments, work,
Right.
home. I think for me, the travel part of it, the wildlife part of it, the photography part of it has been a huge release in many ways. And that also because I'm fortunate that my sons, who are now in their 30s, have done that with me from the time they were infants. I have taken them from the time they were 3 months into the jungle with me, and they've always been there as companions. And I've been fortunate that all my partners have enjoyed the jungle as well. So as a result of that, that becomes a huge component of my life.
I remember the last party, I got a message from you saying, I am happy, I am wasted, I'm going home.
What more?
Brilliant. Yeah.
I
And
could have
one
added
more,
one more there, but
how was your passion for wildlife photography taught you lessons about patience, observation, and strategy that are applicable to managing a global apparel business?
that has confused me right through my life. And even my girlfriend asked me the same thing. My sons asked me the same thing. Like, you can't sit in one place and wait at home or anywhere, right? But you sit and hide for a day. So I literally sat in a seat from 6 in the morning till basically sunrise to sunset without moving, in a tiny hide about this size, to photograph birds.
The
And
feathered,
I have,
the feathered.
yes. Right? So I can do that in very uncomfortable circumstances, but I can't sit at a desk for more than 45 minutes.
But that isn't that patience? Isn't that waiting for something?
It's the anticipation.
It's the anticipation. And I think if you apply it to your business,
Yeah.
it would be the same.
I don't know, because the anticipation element in business is very little, right? There is a lot of planning and a lot of doing and a lot of making things happen, but you don't sit and wait for something to happen. Right? And also you're waiting for something beautiful to take place, right? In a hide. So you're seated, you're focused on a branch or you're focused on a scene, and you're waiting for something beautiful to unfold, and you're going through in your mind, and then there's a little twig snaps, and then you get excited. So there's that constant engagement with what's going on outside. That keeps me focused there. But in a work environment, for me to sit like that and listen to somebody droning on about some thread problem or something like that, I feel like smashing it with a
You switch
teacup.
off.
Yeah, completely. I'm gone.
No, because this whole thing, like say, even NEQ, not being equal, you have no equal because, and I say this easily because I know you, because would you put it down to you being a risk taker? Would you be somebody who takes a chance, or somebody who just takes the bull by the horns and goes at it?
Probably a bit of all those.
Bit of all
Yeah.
three combined?
Yeah.
So I've been fighting against change, and I think you've been doing the same thing, because I've been collecting fountain pens, and I write with a fountain pen.
So do
I
I.
have a collection of typewriters, and I can sit and write on my typewriters.
I do.
I love the clickety-clack.
Yeah.
So, all that is there. But at the same time, you can't ignore change.
No, you
And
can't.
especially in the corporate world that we're living in.
And especially at our age, right? Because if you try to stick to your old-fashioned ideas and not embrace the change that's going, and not at least try to learn about the differences, or if you don't know and if you can't learn and it's beyond you, get the right people, the youngsters who
Exactly.
know this stuff, and then give them the freedom to work. But what happens to a lot of older leaders is they try to bring the technical skills in there, the youngsters in there, and then ring fence them with your own biases and tell them work within that.
And that's something you can't do.
No, you can't.
No.
You have to be able to rein in when people are running riot, but at the same time, you have to give them the freedom to explore, to do things.
So being the corporate leader that you are, and I say leader in a quite justified way, you advocate the fact that we bring in the new generation of tech people there, harness all these energies, but overlook it, but not go and put
Yeah,
our fingers
absolutely.
into it, because we will stifle their creativity.
Yeah.
And would that be the same advice that you pass on to all the rest of the corporates as well?
I do, because I think there is a huge case, and there are many things that I've been exposed to in the recent past that build a huge case for a combination of the older, steadier, experienced hand at the wheel, while you have all the youngsters bringing the energy, and that combination works brilliantly well if you can find the right mix.
Yeah.
And the right mix has to do with the leader. The leader has to be able to know when his or her personal biases and old-fashioned thinking is hindering that progress. It's a very
Right.
difficult one, Imran, because sometimes we are very cocky, about what we know, and it's very easy to say, I've been doing this for 25 years.
Yeah.
But that's bullshit, because what we were doing 25 years ago is so far removed from what's happening right now. You may be in the same industry doing this, making the same panty,
Correct.
but at the end of the day, how it's made now is unrecognizable from what it was 25 years ago. And the
Correct.
technology that you can use, because if you look at apparel, right, it's the only industry that I can think of where prices have come down.
Has it?
Yeah, from the time manufacturing prices
Right.
have come down. You're constantly giving price cuts. And what was sold at $5 or $7 some time ago is now sold at like $2. So how do you make money in that environment? It's the technology, it's the advances, and it's the whole new thinking that comes into how you man your businesses and how you...
So when you say prices have come down, margins still remain the same?
Well,
Or
you
to a
try
certain
to.
extent?
You try to squeeze your margins, but a lot of the companies that I know haven't been able to make that adjustment. So they're carrying these old school structures and overheads, and expecting to make margins in a completely new working environment. You have to gut these organizations and rebuild them, and hopefully that's what I'll be doing soon.
Coming to that.
No. That's
Coming to that. you were enjoying Bangalore
lovely
for a
place.
long
Lovely
time.
place, yeah, my
I
second
know
home.
you kept inviting me over there, and I
Yeah.
never got the chance to come across. But you have now brought your Bangalore chapter to a close. And
Yeah.
you're back in Sri Lanka looking for new adventures.
Yes, I am.
I know you wouldn't want to talk about it right now,
I wouldn't.
but we'll have you once again at some point where you can then expand on that
Yeah.
theory.
Yeah.
But on the
Yeah.
corporate side, you still will stick with the apparel industry, right?
As of now, yes, because that's what I am familiar with, that's what I know, and that's what I have. See, it's not just about what you know, right? It's also in that industry, it's about your contact base, your customer contacts, the relationships that you have built. And when you've been in the industry for as long as I have, there are a lot of people who work with you who have now flown away and gone, and they're doing really top jobs with some of the best brands in the world. So those relationships are still there for us to work with and enjoy what you do. And create something, create partnerships and create manufacturing operations that are very,
And coming
very
to
good.
that, in the corporate world, I think you'd agree if I say relationships are very, very important.
Absolutely.
And the credibility that you
Absolutely.
bring to
Yeah.
it, the genuine,
Yeah.
and the sincerity.
Yeah.
It's not just a relationship built on the fact that you give me your business and I'm
Yeah.
being very,
Well, there are those transactional business relationships that unfortunately take a fat chunk of
Yeah.
the relationships that you have. But the ones that last because you enjoy working with the person and you respect, more than enjoy, you respect the person that you're working with and you have built that trust, those are the ones that endure.
So you've been involved in leadership development for over 2 decades.
Well,
What do you see as the next frontier for leaders, especially in fast evolving skeptical markets?
so I think that speed of adaptation is going to be the biggest challenge that we have. And also the next frontier, the next batch of leaders coming through have a very different outlook to life. And that is where the danger lies in how this leadership thing is going to evolve, right? Because you're looking at the millennials, and I don't know the new generations, what they're being called, but the people, the young kids coming along who have very short attention spans, they don't have patience in staying 3, 5, 10 years to see a career develop. They want instant gratification in everything that they do. They want to click a button and see a result. So in that kind of environment, how does leadership work? And I honestly don't know how to answer that question. And I'm very glad that by the time that actually becomes the main leadership component, that I'll be sitting under a tree in a jungle or dust somewhere in the floating around in an ocean. But it's a frightening thought, because that whole the whole I mean, the younger generations have a huge amount of amazing skill sets that some of us will never have in our life. But how you harness that into serious leadership roles that require focus, discipline, patience, all those things, that would be a very interesting thing
That
to
is
watch.
interesting, yeah. But thank you for being here. Any last thoughts that you want to leave us with?
No, I mean, I've enjoyed this chat, and I've enjoyed the different things that we've spoken about.
And
Always fun having a chat with you.
and enjoying life.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think that is the key thing here. You know, we get too bogged down in all the responsibilities that we have, and we forget to live.
True.
You know, and I hate that term work-life balance. That's bullshit. Work and life is one and the same thing. Work is a part of your life, so it has to be life balance. And sometimes you have to work hard, sometimes you have to live hard.
And you have to enjoy your work.
Absolutely.
If you don't,
Ideally, yes.
Yeah.
Not everybody has that luxury,
not
but
everybody has
ideally,
that.
yes.
Yeah.
But you do need to make a conscious effort of finding time in that 24 hours of the day and 365 days of a year and the however many years of your life to balance that out. Yeah.
So, I end it there, and I hope our work, life, work, the whole thing mixes together, and let the good times roll.
Absolutely.
Thanks for watching. If you got any cues, send them our way. Until next time, stay focused, stay passionate, stay unequaled, and like my guest Sarinda Unamboowe says, be or have no equal.